Ashley, what's good, love? Hey, can you comment and let me know if you can hear me okay? Awesome, awesome. Hey, Chef, what's going on, girl? So, I'm just gonna talk like y'all are right here with me. I'm gonna turn off my presentation voice for the evening, and we're just gonna get to work. Awesome. So, I see we have a few guests already, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is my randomness that I'm going through. This is a old art file that I'm starting to clean up and make into a template. So pretty much anytime you see any artwork that's anywhere on the website, or if you follow me on Instagram, I have like, I don't know, probably somewhere around like 2,000, 3,000 pictures of randomness. So anytime you see that randomness and you like that file, definitely let me know. I also design from scratch, but I'm starting to have to charge more for that because it's eating up a lot of time. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So what I'm doing is making sure that all of my text is here and it's good. I go through my effects, and then you all get to see like this is the type of stuff that makes your artwork stand out a lot. Just simply the layer styles you choose to use. So you can see how intense these are. They'll have multiple strokes, gradients, bevel and emboss. Um, Sometimes we even have a pattern overlay. Uh, that way it gives it texture and that sort of thing. So I'm just going through and reducing. Make sure I type everything in clearly. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave that link in because I'm going to leave this design just as it is. So if you were to get it, then you just double click on the type and change it out to whatever team you'd like. Now I want you to keep in mind too that this one will have the Trojan in it. And my brother designed this, as a matter of fact. It is a composite. Let me see if I can pull it up front. I'm going to make this, no, I don't want to make it a smart object. Let me see if I can turn everything off. So it was a football player that he turned gold, and then he actually put this sword in his hand and put the Trojan helmet on him. So my brother's a little bit of a beast when it comes to Photoshop as well. So I'm really proud of this one. He even photoshopped this cape on him, this flowing cape. So if you know any Trojans, this basically you would end up with this file here. Um, and this is a pretty unique design. All right, let's see. We got paint splashes in the back. Now these splashes are meant to look a little more 3D. So you'll notice they have an extreme bevel and emboss. It's got a satin overlay, and let me show you with the satin overlay on and off. If you've never used that before, I would tell you to use it because depending on how you change this contour here, and they have preset contours, so you don't have to be afraid and have to make your own just yet. But you can see how just changing this contour on the satin setting will give you some really cool effects. So that's the one he had chosen, a little more subtle. And I think we're going with the darker greens. But yeah, so you can go into this template and change it accordingly. I'm going to leave it like it was because this school color is like a really dark green, and Vegas gold. Now let me show you what you can do with these gradients. Gradients don't always have to be linear. So in this case it's radial, and of course it's hidden right here. But even with it being radial, if you wanted it to expand out, you can do that as well. There are other options where you can do angle. So these gold gradients will be included with the file as well. Let me see. Reflected gives me that extra stretch. When I create a gradient and it doesn't look right when I blow it up too big, I choose reflected because it repeats that and I don't have to do so much work as far as creating more stopping points. And if you've ever seen me create gradients, you know what I'm talking about. You see this gold that I created here has a lot of stopping points. So and these are just some of the preset golds that I use. That's the one that has all of those stepping points to it. But I think that one I choose the Vegas gold, the softer golds a lot of times, but this brassier gold is becoming more and more popular. So you might see a little bit more of that. And if you don't want to change what you just did, you can just hit cancel and it'll go back to regular. And I think this was on radial. So let's change it from reflected to, oh, there's even a diamond one. So radial kind of makes it look more like ripples in the pond. That was smaller. And then once I have it set, I choose to close up these effects so that my list doesn't look so long. Let's see, team running. We're going to make this our smart object that can just be changed out. And these are just effects that are added here just because of the individual photo. So as a matter of fact, instead of me making this one a smart object, I'm going to merge this group and just call this one photo. And you'll know that you will put your photo on top of that. So I'll put in instructions, place photo above here. And then of course, once you place your photo above there, you would turn that visibility off. Let's see what else we got going on here. Now there is a mask that I have created here. So it's got a background mask, but our foreground character is also set into that mask. So if you didn't want the mask there, you could disable it or delete it. And I'm going to unlink the mask from the children right now. It looks like I might have to clean him up a little bit. Okay. He's got a little bit of red in there from the original color of the cape. So let's go ahead and disable that layer mask. And I kind of wish all this wasn't cut off and I had the original cape, because that would be a heck of a stock image with the cape flying behind it. I'm sure I have it somewhere. So in this instance, we're just going to make sure we clean this up. I'm going to delete this layer mask because it's the same as the mask for the background, and we'll be able to apply it later. And as a matter of fact, let me turn off the background for a second so I can see what I'm working with. And then we'll just clean up. I'm going to do a layer mask so that I'm not deleting any pixels off rip. And see how I just got rid of some of my sword there. That's not what I wanted to do. It's a little bit smaller. I just want to take down, you see how I can see that line right there. I want to shave it down a little bit, soften it up, and that way we don't even have to have a mask on it. When we add the background back, it blends into the background just perfect. All right. Speaking of background, if I turn off the foreground and the paint splashes, so I'll call that splatter 1. And it's meant to kind of look like, you know, the 300 blood splatter kind of effect. Splatter 2. And let's call that photo. Now, here's something cool. This is actually meant to look like a shadow. So you take the same image, then I would have to make it a smart object. And I told y'all I wasn't going to make smart objects here. Well, let me show you how you would recreate this. So let's make it a smart object. So this is going to be your photo. And I'm going to right click and turn this into, convert it to a smart object. Now the reason why I'm doing that, because if I want my shadow to change whenever this photo changes, then of course I need that to be linked in a smart object. So I'm going to Alt and drag this very same photo down here. And I'm going to turn off the lettering right now in this rectangle so I can see what I'm really doing. Let's zoom in. And this is not a high resolution photo, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And because the players are so small in relation to the entire design, it actually sublimates really well. You'll be surprised at how something will sublimate well onto a t-shirt. And usually that's because of the weave, or actually in this case it would be a knit, not a weave, of the fabric kind of has a way of hiding some of those imperfections in the graphics. And I'll be checking periodically, checking these comments to see if y'all have any questions or anything. But let's keep it going. So now this one is a duplicate, so it's in the exact same location. So I'm going to Control T so I can transform it. And I'm going to right click and flip it vertical. So now it is upside down. And I know a lot of you probably saw, like around Halloween, there were a lot of designs where it would have the image up top, and it might be like the photographic characters or like the cartoon characters, and then the reflected image at the bottom. This is kind of a way to reflect something. So we're going to do some stuff to this. First thing we're going to do is right click and do a color. Well, let's do an effect. Let's do a color overlay. And I'm going to make it a weird color first just so I can really see what it's doing. I like to choose either magenta or cyan, or like a really bright green. And normally when I choose those colors, that color is nowhere in the design, so I remember to change it. If I change it to like navy blue, I may not remember to change it until I print 100 shirts with the navy blue shadow. So that's one of my tips too. If it's something that you know you want to make sure that you change, make it an odd color. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key. I did Control T to get my transformation mode. And now I'm holding down the Shift key so that I can disproportionately squish this image. If you don't have this selected, this link right here, then you will do the opposite. You will hold Shift in order to make it change with the correct ratio. So you have an option. Anytime you do Control T, you can by default change them the same, or by default stretch them out. So the way Photoshop is defaulted now is to have them linked when you update. It used to be the exact opposite. Okay, so we have that, and then if we wanted to really get fancy, we could do a transformation. So we go to Edit, Transform. Let's distort this. And let's see, not the best with shadows, but it looks like we have the light coming from this direction, shadow falls I'm thinking like that way. Oh, I'm the worst when it comes to trying to figure out some shadowing. That's one of the things I hated least about drawing. And especially like if I see something, I can draw it exactly as I see it. But if I have to come up with it, I have this weird thing about not being able to interpret where shadows come from. So we all have our struggles. We all have our struggles. I'm going to Control T again, and I'm going to pull this. I think I'm even going to pull it out to where it kind of does perspective like this. Uh-oh, my bad. Edit. Even though I did Control T, I still have to tell it when I want to do a special type of transformation. So I could do perspective, but distort is kind of my go-to. I think that is a bit better. And of course, we're going to change the color. So the color overlay is going to be, now we'll just make it a straight up black. And then for the, instead of changing the opacity, I typically change the fill. But on this one, we're going to have to change the opacity because it's doing the entire effects. So I changed, let me show you the difference here. So let's take color overlay off. Well, now let me just do what I came to do because I'm going to get on all kind of tangents with y'all tonight. Okay, we see the original shadow, so I'm going to try to match that up a little bit. Like I said, this is what goes into creating a template because it's almost impossible to design something the exact same way. However, when you create a template, it will be as close to exactly the same as it can be. So I'm thinking that's good for that. That stays a smart object. And now I can delete. Oh, as a matter of fact, this one. I don't remember which one was the, okay, that is, so this one has the shadow. And I see here that I could have just copied this layer style, but I guess I'm showing you too how to do the same thing. So Control T, that has the shadow kind of pulling back a little bit. All right, delete the old file. We have a little shadowage. Background is good. I can show you that it has, in order to bring in whatever color you want to set here, which will be this color overlay. Let's say we want to go with, right now it's on gold. Let's see what the gold looks like. Turn the effect on. It's not really my favorite. Let me see what it looks like if we go with the dark green. And I'm just guesstimating a dark green here. I'm not choosing anything. Maybe even almost black, but still with a little green tint to it. That's all right. And then here we have a hue saturation layer where you can manipulate the colors of the sky and the grass. If I turn it on and go to it, you'll see you can change the master level. So here the master levels have been changed for the hue. Oh, that would be really nice if that was a purple and gold. Let's see. Saturation is going to crank the intensity of that color up or make it a little more drab and bring it down, a little subdued. For this experience, we're going for like the subdued image. Let's see, we can lighten and brighten that. I think we'll keep the lightness at 0. But I just did want to just show you what this operation did. Now let's say I want to set that back to 0. And for the master, if like the blue in the design, let's say we take the blues, you can crank them all the way up and see where blue actually exists in the files, and or on this layer, and you can manipulate just where that blue is. So you can tell me whether you want a more purple blue, or you can change it to a green. And the way you can do that too is by bringing this lightness of that blue down. If you wanted to make it a darker green, you can turn the intensity up so you can see how intense that color is. You might need to shift it a little more to make it green. And then we can bring this lightness all the way down. Now, as you can see, it's probably a mix between blue and cyan, the sky. And the way you can tell too is if you start shifting the cyan, you'll see that there's indeed some cyan to be played with as well. And you don't always have to match the team colors, because there's plenty of opportunity to do that. I just wanted to show you how you can go about doing that. I'm going to leave it how it was before. There, because I like to do like the mute color effect. But you can always, if you want to see what it looks like without the effect, just turn the visibility off. Non-threatening there, non-destructive. Okay, and let's see if this is ready as a template. Let's bring our words back. I bleed green and gold. Make sure everything is editable. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something too. When you don't have the fonts, like the same exact fonts that I have, as soon as that file pops open and it says, hey, you're missing these fonts, go ahead. Don't even finish. Well, I don't finish opening up that file. What I do is I go ahead right then and there and see if I can find those fonts online while the screen is up. I might even take a screenshot of it because it'll tell me the name of the fonts. For instance, the word Lincoln is Agency FB. So I would look up Agency FB font on the Google and see if I can find these fonts. Especially, most of these are free fonts. If it's a paid font, most likely it's a font that I sell. So if you can't find it for free, then it's probably one of my fonts that I have for sale. So if that's the case, contact me, or you can go to the DIY section of the website and type in the word font as a search, and you'll see all the fonts that I offer. All right, so let's throw our, let's break this down because I want to make this very clear what this is. So you know how I do. I'm going to right click, I'm going to delete this group, and oh goodness, you make so many groups, and how I organize my mind is not how you want to see your file. So this is why I have to clean them up to make them templates. So this one is the mascot Trojan. You got splatter 1, splatter 2, your photo, and this is a smart object. So this will be the photo shadow. And let's go to the original photo. Double DBL click to replace image. So if you double click this to replace the image, then that shadow will correspond to whatever the contour is of the new image here. So that's why I made it a smart object, so you don't have to make your own shadow. All right, let's see. So I bleed green and gold, and this I bleed green and gold you can use even without the rest of this image. Like you can put a football or a basketball or the mascot in the background, and this text alone is probably a sellable art file, but you get it with the template. All right, let's see. What else do we need to do? Let's take this background. Now, one thing I will do with the background is put that in its own group. Background. So whatever event or purpose you have here, change out that background. It doesn't even have to be sports. I know it says I bleed green and gold, but these same concepts, for instance, this mask here, I use this mask so much. As a matter of fact, let me call it, I call it a slate mask. And the reason why is because it reminds me of those slates. And if any of you sublimate on slates, it has this kind of edge where it's very unpredictable, but it still looks very organic. So we have the slate mask, and basically when you pull in your new background, let me see if I have a background. I'm sure I have a background. Y'all keep me having backgrounds. Let me see if I can throw an extra background in this program. Backgrounds. Let's make this cheer inspired. We don't ever do enough for the girls. So I have this hologram glitter, or holograph glitter, my bad. Let's pull it in here. I'm just dropping it in, and of course this actually may break my bond between my clipping mask with the image, but I can right click and create that clipping mask all over again, and I'm in there. So I'm going to turn the visibility off for the solid color layer. And then I'm going to turn off the hue saturation that was kind of dulling out a little bit. Now you can leave this glitter big and chunky, but when I bring something in, I like to see how the scale really fits with my desired effect. And I would take this and make several copies of it. And then I would merge it. Uh-oh. So I have those three already together. Now I can hold down Alt and those same three. I don't have to choose one at a time. And all I did was just create my own little background just now off of a swatch. So with all of those selected, I'm going to merge those layers. So now I have one big glitter. And then I can Control T. Now because these the hologram glitter has more of like a circular shape to it, I don't want to just squish it in, so I am making it a little bit larger to make sure it covers all of my background slate mask. And let's see, because I like to give y'all ideas of how you can use these templates, so now I'm doing extra work. So let's say instead of that mascot, let's say we find a cheer. And I'm trying to do better and use Firefox. Suggestion from Mr. Nate. Thank you, Nate. Because Google Chrome uses up quite a bit of resources, and so does Facebook. So let's look up. And you know what? I'm sure I even have like a million cheer photos. Or we can look up a mascot. Let's do that instead. Because the Trojan itself shows how you can use a photo, because it was a photo. It was modified, but it's a photo. And it's hard to find just one cheerleader. Oh, I got it. Let's just choose like Eagle mascot. and SVG. Oh, I forgot. Y'all aren't seeing what I'm looking at. Duh. Hold on. Let me move this over to the screen. Now, this is just an, for this template, I have this Eagles mascot. A lot of the high schools use it too. But I am getting out of it in the templates. You'll notice I am using things that are not especially majorly licensed, just because I don't want to put that in there. Like, I might do it as a demonstration for the video, but when you get the file, it probably will not have any of that in there. I've even gone so far as like the blur down. I did like a Minnie Mouse and I just blurred it to where she's unrecognizable. So if you're making your own Minnie Mouse shirt for yourself or your family or friends, you're welcome to replace that image. I don't see anything I really like. Just right click. And this is not my image either. I'm sure this is not your logo, but I just want to show you how photos and other images are. Oh, this isn't Chrome. That's why I'm like, where are all my options? Let's save image. And let us, I'm so used to my Chrome. But I do understand why Chrome is so resource intensive, because when I tell you, like, I do everything on that thing, everything. And I'm just going to call this mascot. So you have an option now. You can do a mascot, or this one is technically a photo. And of course, if I had brought this in, this is, I guess, good for you all to see too, because normally I don't do all these steps. I will purchase stock art or find vectors when I'm doing things like this, because back in the day, I will screenshot something and do whatever I had to do to get it. But now when I care about the quality of the image and the time that I need to save, I just purchase the stock files and let the customer pay for them. All right, so Control C, Control V, I just copied and paste. I'm gonna get rid of that and use my magic wand to get all up in there. And I'm gonna do select and mask, so I make sure I have a clean edge, because as you can see, this is very pixelated on these edges. Or maybe you can't see, but let's see. You see that? No bueno. So we're going to smooth it out a little bit, and you're just going to watch the preview and see what the preview does. If it even updates, because sometimes you're working on such a large file that the preview mode does not work. And the bigger the file is too, the harder it is for you to see the difference in some of these changes. And I'm not going to feather. I want to keep a clean edge. So I'm just increasing smoothness and shifting the edge. Okay, so now I got rid of those speckles. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to say okay. And now that my selection is cleaned up, I still see speckles. But it wasn't nearly as bad. Let's do, yeah, I'm not liking the speckles. So I'm going to change my tolerance to 15. I'm going to Control D to deselect. Okay, I need to be in the selection mode. Control D to deselect. And then I'm going to try this one more again. So now my pixel selection is cleaner. When I had the tolerance set to 2, that's a very low tolerance. The only reason why I work in that mode is, let's say I have a white background and a white tennis shoe or something, and it can't discern the difference between the background and whatever white object you're selecting. I will turn the tolerance all the way down to something like 2, which is probably why that was even set there. So again, let's select a mask. You get a crash course in this today. And we have smoothness turned up, contrast is at 50%, which is default, and shifting the edge. I don't even think we need to shift the edge, but I think it's good now. So we'll say okay. And then this way, as soon as I hit this layer mask, it's gonna automatically, I had the outside selected. So Control Z, we're gonna undo that. The selection that I had made, I was selecting the outside meat. We want the inside meat. So I'm going to go select inverse. So now I have the inside meat selected. And now you can hit the mask tool. And you can thank me now or later because you'll be saying inside meat and outside meat for the rest of your graphic design careers. Alright, so that's mascot. Let's drag mascot down here. And your paint splash in that regard, you might want to change these colors up and maybe not do the ripple because now more of this is revealed, and you might end up doing the instead of the radial, you might end up doing a linear. All right, and then you can imagine here that you could take your cheer team photo. Let's see, cheer team photo. And I'm looking for a team that has green so it looks like it matches. But you know what? I could show you, even if it was something that didn't have green, how you can change it. Right click, save image as. Let's see what this one looks like. Download. And I've been using the remove.bg almost regularly now, if it's something that will work in that manner. This image doesn't look that large, but we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna hit enter and see if, oh no, that must have been the thumbnail. Nope, nope, nope. Let's go back to the browser. This was actually a larger size image, but I'm sure you have to go to the site. It looks like it might be PNG. So I'm gonna show you a little color change right now. Excuse me. Okay, Peak Athletics. We got some representation in here. All right, that's what I like to see. All right, let's drag them over. All right, so we're gonna delete that old one and drag this onto our artboard. Much better resolution. So let's say we put that one above. Oh, another thing is, and then when I create templates, I feel obligated to make a video showing you how to use the templates. But that's what I'm gonna call my 10-minute tease. So that's more work I'm signing myself up to do. But we're definitely gonna take all of the templates and have 10-minute videos. So I know some of my templates that I have hour-long videos because I'm showing you how to create it from scratch. But for those of you wanting to know quickly how to manipulate the file, it's going to be there for you. So, and then what I'll do is I'll probably have special access through the Innate Creatives group for the longer videos because those are the people who really are interested. I'm debating whether I want to cut off the bottom part of the legs or overlap more of the word gold. Anyhow, let's do this paint splash here, splatter number 1, because it's in the front. It's throwing me off there. So what I can do is take the effects, and I have a current gradient on there, but I don't want to edit that because I want this file to be true to how it was before. So I'm going to add another gradient option. And this one, instead of the radial, let's do linear. And then we can stretch out the scale a little bit so it doesn't look so linear. All right, so now let's say their colors are supposed to be green instead of blue on my image, and let's call this cheer photo. And let's do not an effect, we want to do a hue saturation here. And again, you don't know if you're doing blues or cyans. My guess for this one's going to be cyan, so I'm going to choose cyan. Crank that baby all the way up or down. Oh, okay, it is cyan. I just thought it wasn't, just a little delay. So now that I know that is my cyan there, I can change it to be more green. And don't worry if you're seeing the lime green right now. It's changing the background glitter, which I didn't intend to do, but that's cool too. So I'm going to take the lightness and bring it down. Do you see what's going on here? Do you see how helpful this tool is going to be in the future? Yes, so got that turned down, and there we have it. If I wanted to change the glitter, I could, but I think that would be a little too much a heavy color. Maybe you can change it to green or a gold glitter if you wanted to do that. Layer, let's do a new fill layer, solid color, and it's going to create a clipping path. And let's say we're going to create that gold there. We'll say okay, and then we'll play with the blend mode to see how it best. And that one looks like gold glitter. Multiply. Multiply is one of my go-to layer effects. As long as my background image is color burn lets some of those weird colors come through. As long as my background image is grayscaled, multiply is almost always going to work out for you. Overlay looks good too. So let's say that's overlay. And then in this case, the color here for our splatter 1, this gradient, instead of being that linear gold, maybe you don't even do a gradient. Maybe you do color overlay and choose black. It's just something to make it stand out. And this is where you're just going to have to use your discernment. Okay, so since this is the alternate, I have to change it back, and that's going to give you some idea of how quick, and my eagle is hanging off here. Eagle, what are you doing? Eagle, eagle. That's how I have to spell logo. What is up with me and my capitalization lately? Okay, so let's Control T, which transforms it. We're going to shrink it in there just a little bit. And there's a whole new design, guys. As a matter of fact, before I change this, I am going to enable my white background layer. That way I can make sure everything's clean here. Oh, you know what I didn't do? My smarty self. I placed a photo in here. The whole point of me creating the smart object. So I'm going to take this cheer photo, and the entire point of me creating this as a smart object is so that it makes its own shadow, right? So let me bring this image. I'm going to drag it, and I have to pull this down here so I can see both windows. So I'm going to drag this onto here. And you can see how much higher resolution this image is in order for us to even get it on this panel. This has to be smaller. So you know what? Let me do this, because that is a great indication of what should not be. So image, let's escape for a second. and delete what we just brought in. Or we can keep what we brought in. Image, let's do canvas size. Image size. It's a 9:3 with 200 dpi. That's not bad at all. So yeah, this is just a very high resolution image, which is great. I'd rather have somebody send me something too high resolution than not high enough, and then I'm struggling. And this orientation is just going to be different because it's not as long of a photo, and we'll see how that affects it. So just close out, say yes. And now we can see did I end up stretching them out or what? So I think what I'm going to do instead of, because I want my Trojans to stay how they are. Let's do layer, nope, image, canvas size. I'm going to increase this canvas size. So I'm going to anchor everything down here to the bottom. And then for the height, I'm going to choose, because sometimes you have a portrait. So let me choose 12 inches high and say okay. And I really do think I smushed the babies. I did, because it looks visually weird right now. It looks weird. Bring it over. That's better. Hit enter. And I close out. I'm going to say yes, I want to save, and we'll watch it update my smart object. So that was the shadow. I'm going to delete cheer photo because cheer photo should not be in there. If you were following the instructions, like I should have been following my own instructions, and I would have edited the smart object. Now this, where it says double click, it's going to be moved now. So I need to make sure that that my shadow and everything is still going to fall in place. And there's your shadow with the new girls. And let me take this color effect for the photo. And this needs to be clipped to just this photo. If I take it off, then as I put layers underneath, it may turn unnecessarily like my blues, which I think I edited my cyans to be green. And I want it just to stick to this photo. So then that way, like I said, I'm going to screenshot one. Ooh, what is this mess up here? I need to clean up. Let's see if this is... Yep, I need to do some cleaning up here. So I'm going to take my slate mask and convert it to a smart object. Double click it there. Looks like there's something else here that's not clipped that is causing an issue. Or maybe it is my slate mask. Because the slate mask, yeah, let's clean it up. So this is good. This is teaching me too. Slate mask, I'm going to clean it up. I'm not going to just use my soft brush. I'm actually going to find an abstract looking brush here. Probably maybe watercolor. And I'm right click. And I don't see my brush size right now. It's not previewing. Normally that's an indication that my file is too big. So I have the slate mask. I'm going to add a new layer mask to it, and I'm just going to paint somewhere on here so I can see what's going on. Edit, undo. So that's a little harder of an edge. I want a nice soft edge. Or what I can do is find one that has varying opacity. Now, if I would have had a background color on this to begin with, oopsies, let's do a new layer. Like I said, make it some weird color. Let's see, lime green, let's do it. Paint that background. So now I can see, as a matter of fact, if I take this slate, Control T, and I bring it in just a little. Sometimes you're too close to the edge for your own good. And that's not good for your printer, and it's not good for your artwork. Trust me. Alright, so I do see I'm a little heavy on here. So let's do something about that. Let's get our paintbrush. And I'm just coming in and randomly eating away at this edge. And this is how I created this mask, as a matter of fact. Now we can change, let me go back a second. Because I'm being lazy, I need to change my flow and opacity. I'm going to decrease it because I said I wanted to have more of a feathered out watercolor. So then that way, as I'm layering it, it'll give me varying degrees of what it's taken away. Now the problem is, if you put something like somebody's face right here at this edge, you know, maybe gonna cut off their nose or something important feature of their face. So I try to keep anything important from the edge of these type of graphics. And you can see I do still have some hard lines here. But at least at this point, I'm making it to where I don't see these horizons. And then, like, if I didn't want this little one anywhere, then I might click off of the board until it becomes a bigger one. And when I see any deep cuts, like, I'm not going to deep cut into this because usually the top of your image is where you have your most important data, and whether that's picture data or words, you don't want to cut it off. So now I'm satisfied enough to where I can probably go in with my soft brush, and let's change the size. And I think that was a little too concise. I want it just to be brushed. And I like this more than the gradient because I can be a little more variable. So if you can't see, I'm kind of cutting in and out. Do you all know what I was doing the entire time? Painting green and not doing what I was supposed to be doing, which was painting on. Alright, so let me go back to my history. As a matter of fact, I have to revert this. File, revert. Revert is when you've done too many actions to really go back and you need to go to the absolute beginning of the file, which is what I had to do here. Yeah, because I was painting in green, which is absolutely not what I was supposed to be doing. So let's do layer, new layer, and now we can move through this faster because we've done it once before. Let's still paint the green here on the background layer. Control T, we're going to transform and bring this slate layer in from the edges so we know for sure we're not getting cropped off on the edge. Now the layer mask, I'm going to do black to conceal, and of course white reveals. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do it backwards this time. This time I'm dipping in wherever I saw those hard lines. And honestly, that's probably okay. But I just don't like when it softens up edges that I didn't want to be softened up. So right up here at the top, maybe that's where I come in with my watercolor brush. Turn down the flow and opacity. And I should be painting with black. Not enough flow and opacity. It's not a good thing either. Here we go. Okay. So I'm good with this, and now I can turn off that green layer. I can save my slate mask. And now it doesn't have that, well, it shouldn't have, yeah. It doesn't have this hard gradation at the top, which is what I saw when we had the glitter on. So that's why it's good to have different backgrounds sometimes, just to see what your errors are. So I am going to screenshot or do a snippet. So when I do this as a template, you'll get to see both variations. One. And then we'll go back to the original, which is as simple as going to our photo, double clicking it, and revealing this photo. Say yes. I want to save changes. Let's watch it update. And I may have to pull it up just a little bit. And now we will take the background layer, take off the gold and the hologram. I don't know why I keep calling it holograph. I've been thinking about holographs lately, that's why. And let's throw on that hue saturation and that color overlay. And now for the mascot, let's take off the eagle. Let's add the Trojan back. And anything else? That is it. And I do want to encourage you too, like if you had to change these colors, then you just go through to the layer effects. And I'll probably put that in the tutorial video that'll go with this template. Now you have a gradient overlay, which is this gold. So all you would have to do is change this color overlay. And I'll show you real quick. Change it to blue. So now this under, you know what I want to do? Just doing a color overlay. I would love for this gradient overlay to be grayed out if I'm going to use another color overlay on top. It just makes it cleaner when you're manipulating those colors. But at the same time, you just make your own gradient. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm not going to do that. That's going to unnecessarily make this file larger. Alright, so it is what it is. It looks good. I hope I still have somebody still here with me. Let me check on you. Revert. So revert is an option if you go to file. It's always there. As a matter of fact, sometimes I'm going to save as and I miss and hit revert. I don't know why they put things that are opposite next to one another. In Photoshop, they put duplicate and delete right above one another. Yeah, imagine how many times I've deleted something trying to duplicate it. So yeah, revert is right here. Let's see. Any other questions before I go ahead and save this one? So this template's done. Woo hoo hoo. All I have to do is change how I save the file name, but I'm gonna do that later. So that one's done. Now we have an easy one next. Easier one next. All right, and if anyone, I see someone mention Affinity. I have Affinity on my tablets. I put them on there for a reason, because when I do mobile events, it's easier to have multiple devices that can design, not just a bunch of graphic intensive laptops. So that has actually been working out. Affinity is pretty powerful. I really do like it. It's just that it has limitations. So for instance, when I'm doing all my effects, I can only do 2 or 3. I can only do one outline, one drop shadow, and one outer glow. But the Photoshop, the way it's set up, I can do as many strokes and outlines as I want, and I can add all these different effects to a single object, and it doesn't quite give me that flexibility in Affinity. Okay, so okay. All right, see, some of y'all asking about homework. I've sent some files out. If you haven't gotten your file yet, do me a favor and go to the post that I just posted today and put your email on that post, and I will double check and make sure that homework's done. It's very likely that I could have overlooked you. So if that's the case, I will definitely make up for that. And also check your spam. All right. So we're moving on. That one's done. So this one is a little bit simpler one. Let me go ahead and delete this layer mask. And someone wanted a dove emoji. I guess I can leave that there if you want it there. It was a young kid. So let's see. So this was a multi-photo one. We just need a single one. Let's check our heaven background. It will have this one in there. I just want to clean it up a little bit. This one doesn't have a layer mask on it, so we're going to give it that. So we added a layer mask. I'm going to get my paintbrush tool. And the other thing is, you don't always have to fade off with the soft brush tool. Sometimes you can make your edges, like this is a cloud design, so if I were to use this watercolor brush, it probably would look pretty cool. Or I can go grab me some clouds, like from here, from Thunderstorm, and I'm going to reduce that size a little bit. And I'm going to make sure that I have black selected as my color, and that I'm on the layer mask this time and not my image. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the cloud brush now to eat away this outside image. And if you keep dragging, it pretty much will still act as a brush here. Now you can see this could be pretty time intensive too. So I would do this for like the very edges and then come in with my soft brush and clean up around it. And if I add a layer to the back of here, like I've been teaching you how to do, I can see what I'm really doing. So back to my paintbrush on my layer mask, I'm cleaning this up. And I'm just arbitrarily clicking around it. So now I'm going to grab my soft brush. and just start cleaning up around it. And I despise hard lines, so I get in there and do what I have to do to clean it up. I see some hard lines down here. And let's take that, delete it. And even this entire heaven background, I would clean up around it so I can create a layer mask for this. And I'm gonna go fade it off, clean up my edges. And the reason why I'm not doing the gradient, which is this one, is because I don't want it really to have a straight continuous gradient. I want it to kind of look faded off a little abnormal. So should be good on that one. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if we're good because I see I'm cutting it kind of close to this bottom. So again, put your color background back there. Take your image, Control T. If you drag it in just a little bit, you'll be able to see if you have hard lines. And I do have hard lines. So I'm going to go back to my layer mask and clean it up. When you know better, you do better. And that looks better to me. I can go ahead and delete this green now. Say yes to my save. And this file will have two options. And I can even see on this photo right here, there's a line. And I think I remember when I printed it, this is something I did on the fly at the flea market. So once they saw this at the flea market, they this was a popular quick design. As a matter of fact, this is less than a 10-minute design shirt. I designed this in probably like 3 minutes. All I'm doing is double clicking, and on here I wasn't even double clicking. I was just dragging the image and dragging the layer mask. So let's see. We have an option for that one, and then you can do the photo on top where you can contour cut the photo. So that's one option. So we're going to call this let me shut down some of these effects so I can see more clearly what we're working with. So this is just a solid color here. I still see a hard line here with my gates. Let me double click that. I see you. And maybe it's not that noticeable, but let me see if I turn. I don't see anything else that has a hard line right here. So I'm guessing that is my gate. So I'm going to soften it up a little bit more. Yep, that's exactly what that was. Say yes, see if I still have that issue. There we go, cleaned up. So I don't see that the faint hard line right there. All right, and this solid color. The only reason why I had this solid color on here is because the photo that I'd used was contour cut. But instead of that, what we can do is just change the paint mask color. So let's do layer, new adjustment layer. Or new fill layer. Let's do solid color. And then there's that green again. And we'll choose a blue that's already in the image somewhere. And you can see how you can change this color to anything you'd like and make it work. let me do that real quick. There's something going on with this image. Let me clean up this bottom edge right here. I guess he thought I was going to get away with that. Not on my watch. Let's see. Okay, so that's better. And sometimes choosing contrasting colors helps you see your own mistakes. Especially if I'm creating a template and I'm giving it to you, I want to make sure it's clean and that you don't have to, you know, worry where something came from. Like, where's this hard line? Like right now, I see this hard line. I don't want you to have to worry about that. So that's why I clean up my files too. All right, so I'm actually going to, when I double click on this color fill, I'm going to choose that medium blue there, just so we can pull in, tie in the colors of the font or colors of the text with the image color. And also, so you can see you don't always have to do colors that are in the skyline or in the sky graphic. So person. Now there are two options here. Let's do, oh, there's actually three options. There's my mask again. So this is a paint mask. You have the paint mask here. So I'm going to grab the photo and drag it above. No, I dragged the mask. I'm going to drag the photo with the mask, bring it above, right click, and I should be able to tell it, or to right click on the words. Create a clipping mask. So now you have one layer where it's just the photo. And I remember this one, we had the paint mask, but the person was more interested in a softer edge. So let me do, and that's why we had two photos. Now I remember. So two people wanted the painted edge. I almost always get away with this painted edge. Once you have a template that has this paint mask on here, and I think I also sell that paint mask in my, it's a brush that I sell with the brush pack, and it's also a PNG, I believe it's a PNG if you don't have a Photoshop. And you can use the PNG, and almost any program allows you to clip a background. But when I tell you I use this thing so much, not the rectangle one, I mainly use this one. This thing right here, every time I go to the flea market, I'll show them like a regular square, and I'll show them that, and they'll be like, oh, I like that one. And I used to have about 60 of them with different borders with snowflakes around it and all that. Nope, when I found out how to get somebody out my face as quick as possible, it's because you've oversimplified it for them. Let them ask for something extra that you don't possess. As a matter of fact, I'm going to delete that mask. I'm going to keep it simple for you too. I'm going to give you most requested, because when I promise you, that person that's this day that wanted the faded out edge was the first person probably out of 40 or 50 that wanted a different border. And that's what they call it. They call it a border. I call it a mask, of course, because that's what it is in the graphics program. And then this, I'm going to delete this because I don't want you to mistakenly put that in there. I don't really. Emoji, you can always download or, you know, Google an emoji if you want to. So that is that one. I'm going to take this layer mask. As a matter of fact, we'll do this entire group. Control G. And then I'll take this layer mask and apply it to the group. And I will release that. So then this way, if you really want this faded off edge, this template will be dual purpose. See how I look out for y'all? And I can't remember, Rona, if this was yours, but I'm working on it. Okay, so you have the option to turn this one off. You can disable that layer mask, and you have the painted edge, or you can enable it, and you have the soft edge. So Rona, if you're watching and this one's yours, that's how you do that. Now, another thing is, let me check this image size because my files used to be too big. That's cool. And this also, when I put it in this mask, it cleans up any issues I would have had, like that hard line that was in there. Now I'm going to go around here and grab my paintbrush. As a matter of fact, I should just be able to use the paint. If I use the paint bucket, sometimes it comes into my gradient. It eats into my gradient too much. So make sure I have black selected. I'm on a layer mask. And I need to change my flow and opacity to 100%. And at this point, I can turn, whoa, baby. All I'm doing is just making sure that all of this is black around here, because this is how you end up with those hard lines that just pop up out of nowhere. And that looks good to me. And canvas size, I'm going to make sure this is 13 by 19. And now I can tell whether my image and my text, so I'm going to select all of this. First things first, I can take everything that's in my text layer, shift, select it all, and I can align it down the center. See that one? I call it skewered on the Barbie. I get that from my Outcast song. I think that's what they say. Skewered on the Barbie, we ain't trying to lose. Yeah, I think that's what they say. If not, then that's what I've been saying since I was a kid. So I'm going to skewer that one, and everything looked like it was already pretty even. Now I'm going to adjust it until I see that magenta line pop up in the middle, and I'm good. I'm in the middle. Okay, and here was just like somebody wanted to see it in purple. One person wanted it in purple, one person wanted it in blue. So that's when I just cheated and did a little hue saturation layer, because I wasn't trying to do all of that, but I basically went in to my blues and changed that, and then the cyan's probably been changed. Yeah, the cyan's is what really changed in that one. The blues I just brought down. Here's my secret: when I don't know if it's blue or cyan, or blue has very minimal effect, I'll crank it up. I might change the saturation to blues to no saturation at all, so it's grayed out, and then I'll adjust the cyans and vice versa. So that is that. It looks good. So let me save. Lord knows I need to save more often. All right. So, and whenever you all ask me for an affinity template, basically anything that I do with the text and the effects that I'm doing, smart objects don't work in affinity. So basically I end up having to rebuild a template for affinity, which is fine, but I only do that if you order it. And if you order an affinity template, of any of the things that are in this video, sometimes it'll take me 2 to 3 days to create it, because it goes into my art log or art queue. Alrighty, so that was done. Let's see, what else was on the list? Where we at? 10:30. I said I was going to go to 11 o'clock tonight, see what we can get done. Let me see if I have any questions. I close that file out. Oh, as a matter of fact, let me open it back up, because I need to make sure I take a snapshot of it. And usually I rename these, and y'all know I have really long file names, so definitely make sure you're renaming it when you download it. But I keep the long file names because if anybody ever asks me for something, I have the word remembrance in there, sky, clouds, whatever it is that I need to remember that have those elements, and that's how I know which file to send. So yeah. Now right now I'm just saving them as short file names. And then I need to do a screenshot of the other variation, which is we'll take off that layer mask. Oh, this looks pretty in the purple, huh? As a matter of fact, we can bring Willie even back in there. Let me show you something. This is what I do when I don't want to contour cut, but I do want to kind of give it like a collage effect. I'll just take my soft brush and now I'm not on the photo, so I'm not deleting any real pixels, but I'll go in and just softly go around him. Try not to fade off like his ear or his hair. And that's kind of a quick way of doing it. So that is what I do when people ask me to kind of collage on the spot. That probably would be a popular template too. I did an anniversary shirt on demand at the flea market one day, and they literally gave me like 10 photos to collage, and she paid extra to have them, you know, collage. They definitely were commemorating their anniversary and they spared no expense. But instead of cutting out each individual photo, I just took that soft brush, went around those edges, and then by the time I layered them, it looked like a soft glow was around every photo. So that actually really did. If y'all remind me, I'll show you that template. But right now I gotta get done with the templates that have been purchased and paid for. All right, all right. Okay, so Rona, one of yours, I know for sure I have on my list. So let me go to it. Okay, so that's Willie. And I was supposed to screenshot this one. So then that way you will know the variations. And we'll save that one as Willie 2. And also make sure you're spell checking. I don't know if y'all know that Photoshop has that option, but go up here to edit, check spelling. And while I'm saying that, make sure I did it. Spell check complete. Okie dokes. And we shall save. Alright, so let me work my way through my list. Let me bring it back up. I think I closed out my Firefox window inadvertently. And this is actually moving pretty quick. Well, for template stuff it is. And I think that has everything to do with how you design your files. So I'm going to go back to production and list view. Let's pull it up over here. All right, Rona, let's see what you got. This is a fun one. And this one, Rona, your wings are ready, our hearts were not, is more or less this one, but changing the words. So I am going to, matter of fact, I could show you that one or this one, and I'll download this one so I can start on it. But let me show you how that works. And it may already even have the words in there. Let me see if I still have my Remembrance. And let's go to Fleet Files. And I'm not going to do the all over one because that one is a very large file. If you don't have to, you can keep it strict to the 13 by 19. And let me see, because if you purchase this file, and I'll show you tonight if it already has it in there. He's taking his time opening it up. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I want to say that this is the one that I have sent you. Yep. So see how it's the same thing? And then you can switch the gates out. So what I'll do, message me and I'll send you a credit for that one. Unless, I mean, if you want me to save it with these other words in front, I just feel like you probably already have this in that file. So let's see. Our hearts were not, and then your wings are ready is in the background. Yeah. So that one I already cleaned up and made a part of this file. So I sent you this one. I'm pretty sure that, and if you don't see this layer, then more than likely you didn't get the most updated one, so I will correct that. But yeah, you have this one and this one. And let's see what else was going on with that image that you may have wanted to copy. Let's see here. So this is the image. Oh, okay. So this one is a little bit different in regards to the wings being a little bit bigger and the image being bigger. But let's say you take that same exact image, and I'm going to put this one as photo with wings. Okay, so you have Forever in Our Hearts. That is one set of text. Then you have Your Wings Were Ready, Our Hearts Were Not. And the reason why I split this up, because Your Wings Were Ready goes behind the head or behind the person, and Our Hearts Were Not is going to go in the foreground in front of the subject. So that's why it's split up like that. And then that one had the pearl style gate. And you also have the option. So yeah, you have two different gates there. And then the other thing was this photo with wings. I'm going to duplicate this group. And I'm going to show you how to achieve that other look. So this one, what I'm going to do is drop this into, no, I'm just going to add a new layer mask. So in this case, it's going to be the same gentleman, because I don't know if I still have the other photo. But in the case where you showed me, it was a bigger image and it was just faded off, right? So we're going to do that same thing. Make sure we have our move tool selected. Bring it down a little bit. And same thing that I just showed you with the other template, but I'm going to recreate this. So I'm going to create a new layer mask. I'm actually going to unlink it so that this layer mask doesn't have to be resized with the image. And I can come in with my gradient, and I held down my shift tool, and for some reason, what do I need to select now to make this? Oh, I need it to go from black to transparent. Otherwise it adds the white, and then the white overpowers the next set, the next angle that I do with the gradient. So let me delete this layer mask and create a new one. So now that I have it going black to transparent, I can do it from all corners. And all I'm doing is starting somewhere within the graphic, holding down shift and dragging it. And I don't have to do it at the top because it's contour cut. But if this were a photo, then I might as well go ahead. Like if it was a square photo, then now you have that faded off. So you can see how that same template gives you the same effect. So now I'm going to save this one and send this new one to you because it has both looks. And I'll bring up those looks. Hold on just a second. Where are we? Here we go. So do you see how, I wish these thumbnails weren't so small. I guess I can hover them. You see how that file is now pretty much this file? And the other thing is this one has a halo. Let me see if I still have the halo on here or if I have to create one. Nope, there's no halo here, but that gives me an opportunity to show you how to find one and create it. So let's see if we can find a PNG halo first. And I like things that look glowy and not like a solid kind of ring like that. And let's use our image search. Let's do settings, advanced settings. We're looking for a halo. Let's tell it that we want it to be, file type has to be a PNG. And it doesn't have to be a large size, so we'll say any size for this. A halo is really small, so it's not like we're blowing it up. Of course we get the game halo. Let's look up an angel halo. And PNG file, so some of these are going to be PNG, some of them will not be. You know what? I don't like any of these halos. Let me see. Hold on, one more time I'll look because I'm trying to avoid creating a new halo. Just something. Okay, that looks like it's glowing. I'm trying to find one that looks like it's actually glowing. And of course that looks like a low resolution file. Let's see. I don't trust downloading anything from here. Nope, and it doesn't look good resolution. I have a halo in one of my files. I know I do because we used to use it very frequently. Yep, let's make a halo. Alright, so we would start with an ellipse. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have no fill and add a stroke. And let's go with the gold. Right, so I just created an oblong ellipse there. And you can barely see it because this stroke is very small. And it needs to be brought above the photo. And I made the stroke so thick that you couldn't even tell it was an open shape. Alright, so we'll go with that. And of course that's not how we're going to leave it. We're going to do some effects. So let's go effect. Let's do gradient overlay first. Let's make it kind of look metallic gold. Oh, one thing I need to do, because it's doing that as a stroke, let me go ahead, take that ellipse, and I'm going to rasterize it. Then that way when I apply my effects, it will show as if it were a photo. So let's do gradient overlay. On normal, not radial, let's do linear. And my scale is off. I like that one better. Let's do a bevel and emboss. That already makes it kind of pop out a little bit. And I don't know if you all can see this. Let me know if you can't see clear, you need me to zoom in. I wish this thing had a voice connection so I can hear y'all talking to me. Oh yeah, the advanced setting is fire. When you're actually looking for something specific, you can even tell it what color image you're looking for. So I did that in the Easy 123 tutorial. I showed them how to look up even color, like if you want to look up clouds, but red clouds, you can put the color red as one of your search criteria. All right, so I'm happy with that for the most part. Now I do want it to have an outer glow. So if I don't see inner glow here, if I don't see it on my list, that means it's probably down here at the bottom. You can add it. So it's got a white glow. I can change that opacity. I can make it spread further. And I think I'm also going to do not a stroke. Well, yeah, let's do another stroke. You know, I'm famous for doing this. A stroke. Stroke on a stroke. So I do this because it makes things look a little more three-dimensional. So I'll take that same gradient and now apply that gradient as a stroke. So that same exact gradient, I will change the scale of it and maybe even the angle of it. And all of a sudden it starts to look like another dimension. And I might even take the opacity down a little bit so it kind of looks like it's just floating there. What else do I want to do? And then for the outer glow, instead of a white, I might choose one of the lighter colors of the gold. I think I like that better. So that's good for me. Now, if I want to get fancy, which I'm going to show you how to get fancy, why not? If you want to make it look like the halo is, let's say, especially if you have someone with hair, you can leave a part of the halo, then you can take the layer mask and delete. It's kind of hard to demonstrate unless I put it right here on his head like a headband, and that's not going to be the case. So we'll leave that alone. On Control T, I am going to smush that in just a little bit. And now we have a halo. So I guess I should be creating some graphics to put on Google so people can take and use for their purposes. Because I'm really shocked that I didn't see a good halo. And that's not even the best halo, but I think that works really well. Let's see, I'm seeing some discoloration here, which is coming from my background. So I'm going to clean that up. So all I have to do is go to my layer mask, grab my paintbrush, and wisp away. And then that one looks fine. So this one we'll call photo with wings. This one we'll say large photo with the vignette. Vignette. Hold on, y'all. I can't be misspelling stuff. Vignette. Vignette. I knew I had an extra letter in there. What? Vignette. I thought I spelled it right. That's how I have to say it in my head to make sure I spell it right. Okay, so that's the large photo vignette. And please don't say vignette out loud. Vignette. And then we have the traditional photo with the wings behind that. So you'll have that option. The halo, did we label the halo? No. Let's label that halo. And that halo was sized for this graphic, but you can always resize it for this one as well. As a matter of fact, let's take this halo and put it in this one, and we'll create an alternate version of the halo. Alt drag is going to create a copy, and I'm going to put a smaller version of the halo in the small image. So now you have both of those. Then, I mean, if you wanted to tilt the halo or, you know, contort it in any kind of way, you can, depending on like maybe how somebody's standing. That might be what you want to do. And for that one, we had the forever in our hearts. So you see how that's the same template is going to work for you for both instances, Rona. And I'm going to check in and see if you understand that. Make sure I got you on that. Okay, cool. But do you see, yeah, it's that file has all of these different effects. So now you just see how to take advantage of all those effects, because I believe that file even has both sets of words. Even though you could take this same template and retype the words, the forever, what did we say? Yeah, your wings were ready, our hearts were not. So yeah, that's all gonna be in one template. So technically you get like a two in one deal there. Okie doke. Alrighty. Let's keep it going. I still have some of y'all up with me, so I'm gonna keep it going. Alright, let me make sure I save this one. Let's see where it's saving. Oops. Okay, so far we did, what, 3 in 2 hours time? And these are files that I already have pretty much done. So this is just cleaning up templates. There are some that we're going to have to do completely from scratch, because back in the day when I would design things, I wasn't designing template minded. So this is what I would encourage you all to do: design template minded. That's why now I choose to group things, copy and leave my effects available to where I can copy and paste them if I was doing this project over again. I did not used to do that, so I'm not by any means telling you you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying, for your own sake, think ahead, because if you do, it will save you a lot of heartache in the future. So this one, oh yeah, the one team, one dream. You'll like the effects on this one. This is now I'm gonna have to open up Chrome to get to my drive and pull that file. But we're gonna clean that one up next. So Rona, I'm working on that one. And then this drip gold one. Ooh, that one's gonna be a fun one to do, because that's one of the ones I don't have effects for. But it will be able to be recreated, and I'll show you how you can make certain parts of the body gold and bring out the color in certain parts. Drop your own little drips in there. I'll have drips that come on it, and then any drips that you want to add, if you have the drip brushes, you can add them, or you can just pull the drips from one location and copy it, and do it the same way I showed you all how to do the spatter on the graduation template. So while I'm talking, yeah, I cannot do two things at once. So if y'all hear me talking, that means more than likely I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So let me go to my drive. And thank you all. Thank you so much for being patient with me as I am pulling these templates together. I had no idea you all were going to be so super supportive, and it's a blessing, and I apologize for the delay, but I'm definitely actively working on this stuff. Alright, so this one is Wildcats. And this one's going to be a big file too, so I'll start downloading it. Alright, so while I'm downloading that one, it's going to take a little minute. You let me know if this video is acting up while I'm downloading from Chrome, or if it's holding strong. I'm just checking the comments. Oh, you know what? I think this thing is set up too, where it doesn't show me the recent comments. Yeah, it's showing me the top chat and not the real time. Let me change it back to live chat. Thank you, Shy Lady. Tanya, you're here but fading slowly. Tanya, I think we worked on one of yours tonight, didn't we? Let me see. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. I didn't know y'all would like this one so much, so this is going to be a fun one. A couple of people requested that one. This one's going to take a good little minute, but whatever we don't get through tonight, I'll probably do tomorrow, just like this. And these lives, I don't know if I'm going to leave these up, because this is a lot of like inside information and a little intimate time y'all get to spend with me. But I don't know, I guess I could put them up there. If somebody will watch them, I'll be putting videos out and y'all be watching 3 minutes of my 3-hour long video. Where you at, Tanya? Tanya. Yep, I got this one. And so this was one of the styles that you like too, with the flames. I think you're gonna like that one. And this one, so that one was yours. So we did one of yours. I try to make sure I hit at least one of each of you, so you wouldn't be like, oh, you worked on Tanya's before you worked on mine. Kendrick, you've been patient with me too, so we worked on one of yours. Like I said, this one's gonna be fun. This one's gonna be a good tutorial one because it is very intense. Yeah, so let's see. So Rona, we're gonna work on this one as long as somebody's willing to stay up and watch it. And then I'll probably call it a night tonight and get back on this tomorrow. So I may even do like a midday recording or something. Okay, so are we done? It's still downloading over there. That's how huge these files are sometimes. So let's see what I could do in the meantime. And I think all of them at this point. That's why I keep like scrolling up and down. I'm like, yeah. Oh, this one, yeah, I think I started this one. Let me see here. Delete files. Well, when I tell y'all I am on this thing all day, I'm gonna my brother has a joke where he calls me Professor X because I'm always like glued to my seat, working on the computer for everything. I mean, from papers to art to court filings to research to YouTube University, all of that. I stay like it's almost, no, it's not almost. It is definitely to a fault. But all right. So yeah, I did start on this one. Only thing with this one is I will tell you that this particular photo, there was an app on the phone to get the image to kind of have this really intense look to it. And where is, so we're gonna do like an HD look. So I do have my paint splatters on there. I got the little scratchies on there. So the only thing I have to do now is make this one look high def. And there's a few different things that you do here. Let's see. We got to add some more contrast. Let's take off the oil paint. Our original image. And these little squigglies, you pretty much just have to sketch them on there if you want the squigglies. Is that other file downloaded yet? Still downloading. Let's see, we need a little more. We got some blur going on with hard sharpen. I think I'm gonna just delete everything but the original. And I'm gonna start fresh. So I'm gonna duplicate this layer. And let's do filter. And let's do a Gaussian blur. And then you'll be able to preview what it looks like with the effects. Now I'm going to blur it on purpose because this is how you get like the smooth kind of look, and then you intensify on top of this. So I'm going to smooth it out, say okay. So that's a smart filter. And again, this is a smart object, so once this is all said and done, you just double click and change the image out from there. Let's duplicate another layer. And oops, my bad. I'm gonna duplicate the original again. And what I should have done is put what this one was. So this is, make sure I spell Gaussian right. I can't be. I thought it was two S's. G-A-U-S-S-I-A-N. Blur. And then on top of this, that's our original. Let's do, just so I know what it's doing, I'm gonna multiply, nope, darken. So I'm taking this original and then I'm going to play with a filter here. Let me see, do I have that? This is the time where I really don't know what it is that I'm doing. I'm just playing and trying to achieve certain effects. So you don't know how layering all these different things really work. Now, let's find the edges. So I found the edges on this, and let's see how much we want this to apply. So let's take this fill and bring it down just a little bit and see how much we want it to affect this image. Okay. So that one was find edges. And sometimes I end up using some of these layers, sometimes I won't. It's like a building process. So again, I'm going to take my original and I'm going to turn this one down, turn the fill down. Just so I can see what more I need to do. to this one. We definitely need something to bring back into the detail. So let's see what's sharpening. Let's do a filter, sharpen the edges. I just don't like not being able to preview. So delete that filter mask. Oop, I wanted to delete the filter. Let's turn it all the way up on opacity. Now let's play with this sharpen. Filter gallery. I'm looking for something that's going to give me some really defined edges. And meanwhile, kind of giving me not necessarily a sketch look, but I like this one. This one is ink outlines. It also matters the quality of the photo, because you can see pixels in this because it's not the highest quality of photo, but I did that on purpose so I wouldn't have a too high quality image, and then when you bring other things in, it doesn't give you the same effect. So this one, what did we, that one was, dang, I can't remember. Let me see if it tells me on my history. Just tell me filter gallery. Ink outlines. So ink outlines. And let's see how we want to blend this mold in here. Lighter color. Lighter color brings back some of the details in the face, because this particular effect tended to get really dark in the face and hair. But I'm kind of digging the hard light a little bit. If it weren't so pixelated. It's odd, but that's not what we want either. So lighter color is going to work for me on that one. And again, we'll take the original, then we're going to make a copy, bring it to the front, and let's see, for this one, there we go. Let's take me to my layers. So it's on sharpened. I think I need to sharpen it some more. And you can continue like sharpening it further and further and further. So let's do posterize is where it gives you these levels and gradations in your color or steps in your color. But I really think it's because this image is not that high quality. Like I said, if I can develop the template on a low quality image, on a high quality image, it will definitely look much better. So I'm not liking the posterize on that one. Let's do levels, or we might be able to play with exposure. And I'm just choosing extreme so I can see what type of effect I might be able to pull out of this. That's not what I want either. Oh, it's on darken. Duh. Uh-oh. I was supposed to keep it on normal until I figured my effects. Let's do levels. Let me see if I can get a little bit more intense shadows. But I'm paying attention to what it's doing to his face too, because I don't want to lose his eyes. Okay, we're getting a little somewhere now. I know all of this stuff probably seems very futile, but it builds. Alright, what else we got? So I'm seeing the folds in the fabric. I'm getting a little bit of highlight. I have some smoothing in there. And let's take our subject. Let's take the original photo. We'll bring it all the way out of the folder. And then we'll compare the effects. Yeah. So now it looks a little more surreal, a little more painted, and I think I will do some strokes in there, some brush strokes. So let's take our original, drag it back into the subject folder, turn that visibility on, and we're gonna play with a painted effect. So let's see, we're gonna go to filter. I think we'll go to the filter gallery. You can see how now we're getting a little bit more painted brush strokes in there. Let's see the sharpness. Turn it up. And we're trying to get extreme now. The longer the stroke length, the more like unrecognizable it should be, or abstract it should look. Which is fine, especially if you're not doing it as a top layer. But now you know how you can abstract an image. Let's see. If you want to see what something does, just do the extreme measures of that function. I'm kind of liking that. I don't know how it's going to apply, but we're about to see. I might even take this and then blur it. So let's see. Let's see if I blur it. So I can turn off the Gaussian blur. I don't know what I need to do, but it acts like I can change. Oh, I can edit it. Okay. When I double click it, it just lets me preview it. But it says I can edit it, and it's not giving me anything to edit. What is there to edit, sir? Okay, there we go. It was the second option. Let me zoom out a little bit, because I want it to blur, but I still want to see my defined lines. I'm going to blur just a little bit. So that's no blur. And there we go. Alright, so I was hitting the wrong thing the whole time. So you need to right click and go to edit smart filter, because by default it just goes to the blending option. And that is helpful too. So if you wanted to double click and just go to the blending option, then you can tell it to darken, multiply, any of those things. And this is just for the blur. So I'm going to take it back. Normal. And bring this fill down, so you're making it a little more transparent. And then finally, let's grab the original one more time and bring that fill down. And I hit darken so that it kind of applies in the darker areas, but we're going to see if these other functions do better for us. So this is the original. It's only on 41% opacity, but I've got it layered on top of all the other stuff we've done already. So it may look like nothing, but there's a lot that goes into not looking like anything. And then one more, I think. We got the details in the hair, shadowing around the face. And this opacity, I'm bringing it down a little bit further because I want it to look artsy. And then where is my ink outlines? Now you can play with the order of them. So you can see how this can get real intense. I'm trying to close up some of these. So the ink outlines, let's say, this is more of a highlight. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer, and this is why these type of effect files get really large too. And let's say I'm just going to try something here. I'm going to invert it. Yeah, didn't quite do what I wanted it to. So that copy isn't working for us. So I feel like this is as close as we're going to get with this image, except for, like I said, the squigglies that are on there. In that regard, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to sharpen the outer edges. So one more. Original. You know what? And I forgot to put, this one is Gaussian Blur. Aussin. And when it says filter gallery, I forget what that one was. Let me see if it'll tell me. And I know better because I should definitely angled strokes. And this is why I'm supposed to be labeling as I go. So this one is, and angled strokes. And you can turn each of them off to see what it does. This one is just the image with 22% opacity. This lighter color. We duplicate that layer and then do it in darker color. There's another thing too. Some of these filters work differently depending on the contrast that you have in the image. So this one, I don't think it has a high amount of contrast as far as like in the face. It's really dark. So it's kind of killing some of the details when we do major effects to it. Darken, and let's edit that filter. And here's our opportunity to switch it up a little bit, so we could do shorter stroke lengths, since now we're telling it to do the darker color. I'm going to switch it up there. Okay, so I brought a little bit of that intensity back. So let's see, original, painted effect. So I think we got our good painted effect there. As good as we're going to get. And as far as the color splash goes, of course. Oh, I gotta find me a player to put in here that I won't get in trouble about. So I'll find me a player to change that to, but for all purposes of editing this file, as a matter of fact, I'll leave the original on here. So you'll be able to, once you replace this image, let's see if I have one. I probably have one in my foregrounds file. As a matter of fact, this would be perfect for, let me take KISS templates and simple foregrounds. And let's see how this one looks. It's a little bit higher resolution image, so ooh, we can test it out. So that's the original, and that would be the photo version of it. So see, when it's a higher resolution image, these effects take totally different. And let me see what I want to pull down. Oh, that one's cool. So the ink outlines is what I want to reduce. But see, now I'm getting the squigglies. I wanted some of the squigglies to kind of make it look a little more abstract. But I think what I'm going to do is just bring it down a little bit. So it's not as intense. And that one, outlines. Yeah, I think this is giving me a much better indication of, on a higher quality photo, what it's going to do. And we need that because that brings back the white in the eyes. Levels. There we go. Trying to make it extreme without getting the nasty little pixels. And depending on what you're working on, you may have to actually, what photo you're doing, you may have to go into these settings. Now the find edges didn't really do anything. Gaussian blur, and I'm supposed to have an original down there. That's messing me up too. Always supposed to keep an original at the very bottom and visible, just in case these layers need something to apply to. So ink outlines kind of gives it that little squiggly effect, and then you can take it off if you want the smoother and high contrast. But let's see. And the original photo was edited really well, like as far as the lighting, the photographer did a really nice job with that. So to make it look painted is not so hard because you started off with a really good quality image. Alrighty, so I guess for this one, you know how to color. So you got your splash color 1, you just do your color overlay. As a matter of fact, you can do a separate color overlay. So the burgundy's there, add another one. And we probably want to change the top one because it's going to duplicate whatever color overlay you had on there. There's one, there's your green. Say okay. Splash color 2, color overlay, double click it. And I think this team does have gold, but it's more like a yellow. And I didn't mean to change that one. I wanted to do a separate color overlay. So new one, color overlay. And there's one more back here. And this one's just a really light, pretty much gray. And that's going to be fine for us because you barely see it. Just a little something to look at back there. And something else. And the scratches, so the scratches kind of have the gray too, but you can change the colors of these scratches too. As a matter of fact, let me label those. Ooh. I know this one looked really simple, but it's not. It's one of the hardest ones. Okay, so we have your original photo. You have your we'll call it artistic subject, original subject. And then you would double click on that. Let's see what that is. I do not know, so I will delete it. So this file is almost done. And you see this image here also is not faded off. So if you wanted to fade that off, you could, but this is just for comparison. So I could take this layer mask here and I can alt drag it just like I would duplicate anything else, and I can drag it onto this layer, and now he has the same mask as this image below. And then so you can always play with taking that original layer and play with the feel of it, so it further plays on that. But I'm going to leave it at 100% because I want you to be able to see the contrast. Alright, so that's that template. And let me see if anybody else is with me. I said I would go up to 12 if somebody was still here. And let me change it back to real-time live chat. Y'all still with me? Are y'all still watching, or or am I watching you sleep? Okay. All right. Roll call. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate it. Oh yeah, Topaz Lab is really nice. As a matter of fact, I had a subscription for a little while, and then when it gets to being costly, I just cut it down. Matter of fact, people weren't even giving me high enough quality images to use the Topaz Lab. That it just wasn't worth it for me. But you create your own images. You're a photographer, so I'm sure that that was heaven for you. Yes, we do need a YouTube University shirt, Aisha, if you're still here. Absolutely. I think that would be some cool merch. Okay. All right, guys. So I think I got one more template I was going to work on for Rona, and we'll drag this out to 12 if y'all want to stay up with me. If you fall asleep, I do not blame you. So let me make sure that I'm saving this. All right. And if you see, sometimes I have files saved as PSB instead, PSB as in boy instead of PSD as in dolphin. The reason why I save it as a PSB is because sometimes the files are so large that they won't want to save. So when you save them as PSB, it allows it to save as a larger file. And I do that as a precaution sometimes too, because sometimes you'll be playing with these files and they might not be as big right now, but as soon as you start changing out your subjects, and if you don't delete some of the stuff. So I had one file where all I did was just change out my subjects. So that one subjects folder had like 25 different photos, and you can imagine how how that affected my processing for that file. So have your main image and your subjects. You can always drag them back in and do the same thing. So don't try to like save different layers of all the different color combinations and everything like that. It will slow that file down. All right, let me make sure I save this one too, because this one we updated with the halo and all. So I'm going to put this in my file where I know to update it. And let's see what this file looks like. Oh, I had to crack my back. All right, loves, let's keep it pushing. One team, one dream. Oh, another thing I'm supposed to tell y'all, whenever I do lives and you all either watch the lives, like attend the lives, or you watch the thing afterwards, and I'm going to do this randomly throughout the video so that people don't just watch it and skip to the end and cheat. But I will, every live I do, I will offer you all a code. And I'm not going to put it up on the screen or anything. So I'm going to write myself a reminder that I'm doing a code for today. Oh my gosh, it's 2/2/2020. That's cool. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna do some people messaged me that they missed the half off template sale. Now I'm not gonna do that one again for some time because obviously it created a lot of work for me. And I love y'all to death for it. I love you to life for it. So let's do like $10 off. So one template can be up to one template can be so I mean you do $10 off whatever your order is. But if the template's $20 and you get 10 off, then you have a chance at getting a 50% off template. Because I really do want you all to try these. Now, the stipulation is that it has to be a template that's on the YouTube that has a video, and in the video there's a link in the description. So if you click on that link in the description, that's a template that I already have ready. So I won't have to go through this, and y'all don't have to stay up with me till midnight playing with making templates. So yes, so choose one of those templates and you'll get it quicker. You can choose anything you want. It's just going to take me some time to get it together like these are. So I'm just being honest with you. If you want something quick, ready to go, choose a template from the YouTube University. Okay. And I'm going to give you a code right now. Let's call it let's do 10. I have to write it down myself in order for this code to work. And the code is only going to work for 48 hours. So that should be plenty of time for people who watch this video to catch up. And it'll be incentive for people to catch up on these videos even if they miss the lives. So they enjoyed Super Bowl and the good food. And they got the itis right now and passed out and didn't want to stay up with us. Cool. Just watch the video within the next 24 or 48 hours and you'll still be able to use the coupon. So, and I have to make it somewhere where I remember to put it in. 10. I'm going to call it 10 off now. Oh, no, I'm lying. Yeah, 10 off now. I think I haven't used that one. 10 off now. And that's the number 10, 10 off now. So bring that on the screen real quick. 10 off now. Y'all see my little Google keep notes? And I live by it. Matter of fact, if somebody tells me something and I ask them, did you Google Keep it? Did you put it on Google Keep for me? And they say no, then it goes in my non-memory bank. Whew. Now let's see what this file looks like. So 10 off now. I don't even mind. Don't even put it in the comments because I know people will cheat and they won't watch the video, and I don't want them having the same advantage that you have, or the people who are even watching this afterwards. I want the folks who are taking advantage of the time that I'm giving to really benefit from the perks. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Let's break this down. Now that you know how to break down files, let's see, we got our foreground, which is this image here. And as a matter of fact, that's how I want to start labeling the files. Once I know that y'all understand that, which I think y'all did a great job of that. According to the homework, you got it now. All right, so this is the photo. I've got a mask on here, and then I kind of cut the top of them. So this was me cheating, okay? So I didn't cut everything out. I just kind of like contour cut the top of them, and then to fade it off at the bottom, which is not cheating. That still work. But I want to see. Basically, whenever you bring a photo in, you're going to have to bring it in as a PNG anyway. So I'm going to rasterize that layer. Then I'm going to apply that layer mask. And this would just be the PNG that you bring in. So let's turn that into... And there's not even any effect on here. So I'm not going to make it a smart object unless I have to. So photo. Okay. One team, and even the layers, the way that you put the layers. So see, I put team on top of one, so it's not gonna spell exactly. It's not gonna read exactly how you would read it. It's gonna go based on what the layer orientation is. So I wanted dream and team to stick out, so I put them on top of the one. All right, and then these have effects to them. So that one, these are, I mean, if you don't do anything but get how the text is off of these templates, that is a game changer. Just to have this kind of dynamic looking text and not just a flat color with the outline and maybe a drop shadow, this is going to be a game changer for you. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for this text, this would just be a photo. And I mean, it's got some paint splashes in the back too. All right, so let's see what else we have here. You have state finals. You can change that to whatever you want. You know, whatever the organization is, champs 2019. But that is that portion of it. Or you could take it completely off and just have this and then make a different design when they win. And, you know, then you have a different shirt you can sell with a different photo. And I'm telling you, I didn't think that worked. But I had a team that I made a shirt before they went to state, right? And then after they won state, I pretty much did the same design, except I changed out the photo. And of course, it said instead of state finals, it said state champions, right? I sold the same people that I sold the first shirt to that same second design. Now, the photo was different, but the concept, the template, everything else was the same. So, yep. Don't overdo it if you don't have to. And I'm really liking this paint splash, so I might show a picture of it without the words on top, just so you would see what this splash effect looks like. So this is going to be text, so we'll call this one team TM, one dream. I get that from SpongeBob. when Squidward didn't understand what a team was. I think that's what happened on that episode. He was like, team. All right. Yeah, I'm getting sleepy. I get goofy when I get sleepy. Either that or I get clumsy and I run into walls and doorknobs. All right, so something is missing out of here. Where are you? You're here. And you are going to be at the very bottom, but I want you in my group. So I just dragged it into that group, into that folder. Perfect. And now we're going to have the logo. So we're just going to call this logo. And then double click, DBL, click to change. So if you double click, now if I get somebody asking me what DBL click means, I'm trying to keep it short for y'all so that when you have these layers, some people like to have the layers option shorter so they can see more of the image, and it starts to cut down what text you can see. But I have this expanded so that you all can see the words as well. All right, so double click to change that. Did it open up or did I double click? Oh shit. Oops, I didn't mean to curse on live. But oh, okay, it's a vector image. All right, I was like, yeah, I saw some. Matter of fact, save. This computer ready to take a nap like me. But no, let's see. Hey, BB, come in. Capital I code. I have one of my apprentices here, Chef BB, and she's here designing. She's not really bothering me, but she just uses the ambiance to to get in her creative mode. Yep, I got you. Right there, just don't save it.
Okay. Oh, I was way off.
Well, I hope you ain't locked the computer up. You good? Okay. Okay. All right.
Can I use? My mom wants me to print off the sign.
Oh, so you can bring it in. Just email it to the Innate Lab staff email, and then we'll print it off before you leave. You stay in for a little while longer?
Oh yeah, I can.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna finish up this template, and I'll be done by 12.
Okay.
All right, babe. All right. So I double click it. Oh, this was a logo that I vectored to make sure because it was a little janky. But as a matter of fact, you're probably going to end up bringing in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click, I'm going to rasterize this because you're not going to have a vector more than likely. And if you do, that's fine. You can still bring it in. So I'm going to rasterize it and then I'm going to convert it to a smart object. So now when I double click, you can close this out. And I have this this logo vector somewhere else anyhow. Let's see. So did it turn into a smart object yet? Yep, it's doing it right now. So now when I double click, it'll open it up in Photoshop. And it has it has the drop shadow and all. So I can add a new logo here. I can copy and paste this layer style. So I can copy that layer style and add that same amount of drop shadow to the other image, but as long as it's within this art space, and I'm gonna say no because I didn't change anything, it will update right here. So that's our logo. We have our photo, and let's see, these are, I'm liking this little grunge paint. I'm gonna turn this off just so y'all can see my art. Revel in the art. It really is just paint strokes. But you get the idea. So let's see, let's make it templatable. So the way that we do that is I'm actually going to take this red and I'm going to do a color overlay. Make it normal instead of multiply. And right now I'm going to change the opacity to 0 just so I can pick the color red that I want. That's my color. Then I'm going to bring the opacity all the way up and say, okay. So even though this looks red, it actually has a color overlay that makes it red. So another test for that is that you can change it to a different color. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Let me save my hex code. I'm going to copy this. This is your hex code right here. This is the quickest way. It's not exact. It's not a Pantone color, so you copy a hex code one place and paste it somewhere else. It's not going to be the same. From program to program, it doesn't necessarily translate that way. But it is a quick way to grab a color. All right, so I have that. Now I'm going to do a black overlay. Say okay. Okay. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to rasterize just the layer style. So now I have two blacks, but I'll know that I can do a color overlay on either of them. So let's do an effect, color overlay, make sure it's on the normal blend mode. I can click on my color swatch. Now I can paste that hex code and say okay to the red. I'm going to do the same thing on black. Black is already black, but I'm going to add a color overlay because I never know what color you want that top color to be. And I don't want you to have to assume. Matter of fact, I can copy this layer style, paste it onto this one. Of course, it's going to make it red, but I can double click on my color overlay and drag it and make it black. So that's template ready. All right, okay. This is just me kind of cleaning it up, and I'll show you if I take this layer mask off. Let me just disable it, and then I'm gonna put a white background back here and see why I even did that. Oh, I think I just wanted to cut it in, especially from this edge without like fading it off. But I am dangerously, who did this? Shannon. Huh. Whew, I'm tripping. Remember how I told you I don't like things getting cut off at the edge? Obviously. This was, what, 2017. I had a grand idea to go to, for the state of Florida, the finals. So I went to the, what is it? They used to call it Orange Bowl or whatever the stadium is in Orlando. Yeah, so I went out there, set up in somebody's yard that's directly across from the stadium entrance, and I made shirts on demand. And I tried to have all of these designs already ready. So you can imagine me trying to find team photos, and a lot of them were individual photos. I'll have to show you some of those. But trying to come up with those ahead of time was it was work. I ain't gonna say it was hell, it was work. Okay, so my paint is there. Do I want this to stay on or no? Okay, that's why I did it. It was really apparent here that I cut that it was cut off there. So I'm definitely going to enable that layer mask, and then I'm going to clean it up a little bit. So let's do paintbrush, and what do we want to work with? Looks like they're very linear in look. So let me grab something that kind of has a linear appearance, but it kind of needs to be, oh, let me show you something. Let's do, now these are my brush settings. So see how this one is kind of angled? I don't know if it's going to switch it. Oh no, this one switches angles. So I can tell it that I don't want it to switch. As a matter of fact, we can tell it that we don't want to change. See how you see this preview here? We don't want it to change the angle. We don't want it to change the size. So see how it's on 100%, meaning that it's going to vary that size. I don't want it to, whatever this is, where it's, well, no, it can go up and down, that's fine. So that's good for me. So now this is going to stay in this orientation. And if I wanted to save this, I believe there's a way to save that. New brush preset. And then I can save that. Capture the brush size in the preset. Cool. But I want to make sure that I'm on the layer mask and not tripping like I was before on the green and just painting. Just to be painting. Just to be spending time with y'all. I'll make sure my flow and opacity is 100% because I do want this to kind of cleanly come off. That one went through a little too much. I'm just trying to focus on the edges right now. I'm actually happy with the top and bottom here. I just want to clean that up. And I just don't want it to look like a soft brush did it. So I hope this is making sense to y'all. These masks and these little elements here can make a big difference in your art. And I don't see any hard lines there at the top or bottom, so I think we're good on that. So we'll call this abstract paint background. Because as you can see, there is no like true background for this one. So this will be our background. Oh, this one says Seth. I think this, yeah, this was the individual player. Oh, I forgot I had this in here. Jules. Okay. So I need to screenshot the individual one too. So this was, as I told you, I was just out there randomly selling shirts and people didn't expect to see us out there. As a matter of fact, I think it's like illegal for the high school, what's it, FH, I don't know, whatever it is for the Florida high schools. They don't want anybody else selling t-shirts. So they have their t-shirts that they sell on the campus of the stadium, and they usually are not the greatest of designs. They definitely aren't personalized in photo shirts. So they don't officially allow vendors. So when I set up across the street, it's at a business across the street that, you know, they can do what they want on their property. So we pay, you know, if we need electricity, or I bring the generator, depending on how much stuff we have to bring, generator, tent, all that good stuff, and samples if we prepare in enough time. But yeah, I like this. I forgot I had this. I likes it. Turn off the photo for a second. So I guess this one is the same thing. It's just intensifying it, the blacks. And then that way you end up with less white on the shirt. I really like that one. So let's call this, and then this can be stretched too, but I do see how this could definitely be its own element. So we'll do an individual. So let's just call this individual. Individual player photo. And then we'll call this one team photo. All right, so what we'll do is group that. So team photo, then we have the individual player photo. Now we're going to see how these elements come together as a template. Okay, so if this was an individual picture, you probably wouldn't put the one team, one dream, or maybe you would, I don't know. But you can always, if you don't want to mess up your one team, one dream, what you do is right click, duplicate it, and then on that duplicated copy, you type whatever, you know, he might want to put his name. I think it was Seth. So that's that. You got the Enate Lab. Somebody It's so funny to hear people say innate, and it's not that funny because it's a word that is not used a lot. Um, and innate is something that's intrinsic, something that you're born with, something just very natural, God given, and that's something that I used to explain to my brother that we were all innate creators, and that's how I feel like we are closest to God is when we're creating. And I always used to tell him that we were artists from the womb basically. And I was like, well, it's just in us, it's innate. And he was like, what does innate mean? And then from there he was like, well, maybe we should be innate designs. So that's how we started off as innate designs, and now we're innate lab because it's more than just designs. It is a concept. It's business support. It's networking. All of that stuff. And there's some other crazy stuff I want to do with Innate Lab too, like prototyping products and helping people invent things. So that'll be in the future, in the near future. So anyhow, let's make sure team photo shows up with all its good juices. Yes. And then individual photo shows up. The logo still there. Logo works for the individual. Logo works for the team. We are in there. And let me see what this is. This is from we have another template for the Venice Indians. Okay, I was saving the textiles. I'm telling you, these textiles are something else. We got another template done. All right. I'm so happy, y'all. Because we did it before midnight. So I have a couple of seconds now. Oh, before I take any time and tell y'all I have seconds. Let me screenshot it. Let's do, well, not screenshot, we'll do a snippet. New snippet. File. Save as. Baker. And I have to clean up these file names and stuff, so that'll be my homework after I get off of the live with you all. How I have to name everything and save it so that I know what it is 24 hours from now. That's how quick I forget where I saved a file and what I saved a file as. All right, so that's that one. And then we're going to do the individual. And of course, it still says one team, one dream, but at least I have all the other elements there. So, and I could export for web, but to me, it's more work. And these are just previews for you all. So I like the snipping tool. Yep, save as. And that one says group, individual. All right. So I like that template. I can't wait to see y'all do something with that. So thank you all for giving me more work to do. It is definitely putting me on my grind. I told y'all I have thousands of files that need to be templated. So this is just making me do what I need to do, and it's giving me data because otherwise I would not have known where to start with the template. So now that I know what you want, it forces me to make a template out of it. So got that saved. I think I'm halfway done with the templates I need to catch up on. So I'm just checking on the tube of the U to see what you all have to say. Vegan life. This is the best class at night. Yeah. little late night relaxing design. And I still have 9 of you with me. Oh my gosh. I love y'all to death, really and truly. Or to life. I gotta stop saying to death. I love you to life. I want you to live. Yes, I still have Chrome going, but I don't have YouTube open on my Chrome, and I don't have Facebook. I think it's Facebook is the real culprit, but no, Google Chrome is a hog as well. I noticed one time Chrome is using up more data than my Photoshop. You're very welcome for my valuable time. Thank you for acknowledging that it's valuable. Yes, Rona, you're welcome. And like I said, tomorrow I'll probably get back on and do this again. And this puts a little pressure on me to get stuff done, so it's not a bad thing. Oh, y'all talking about some expensive stuff there. Oh yeah, cameras and all that good stuff. Yeah, Tracy, I'm sorry. These are very intense graphic files. So if you don't have a graphics, number one, it's a graphics card that you really need to whenever you plan on getting serious with Photoshop anyway. And most of your standard computers are not going to have a suitable graphics card. But on top of the graphics card, you need RAM because RAM is going to allow you to process what you're doing. And then outside of that, you're going to need memory. And memory could be in terms of an external hard drive or internal hard drive. I suggest you have a good decent internal hard drive or you may end up with issues like I end up with issues. My internal hard drive is small, my external hard drive is large. But if I'm trying to save a big file, sometimes my external hard drive fails and the Photoshop will crash, and because it's not on my hard drive, it doesn't auto back up. So whenever you're saving to an external hard drive, you end up with that issue. And I don't know if there's a resolution to it, but I know it's not fun to be in a position where you need a resolution. um, but I think we got a good amount of work done. And Rona, you say you're not going anywhere. Well, for tonight, I want you to go somewhere. I want y'all to go to bed for me, and I promise we'll get back on this. And I really do appreciate you all. Any more questions or anything you'd like to see quickly through what we've done tonight? Don't forget your code is 10 off now. 10OFF in OW. And like I said, you can use it for 10 off of anything. I don't care if you use it for a print or you use it for a template. That's up to you. But because you spent time with me tonight and because of your patience too, I'm also going to make sure anybody that's on this list, I think I'll message them the code too. So Tiffany Martinez, um, Kendrick, and Ken. Ken is one of my great supporters too. Rona, I want to make sure that y'all just automatically, whether you use it within the next 48 hours or not, I'm gonna put a $10 credit on your account, so you will be able to use that credit anytime you check out in the future. It doesn't even have to be now. Okay. So that's for y'all's patience with allowing me to even work through creating these templates. Because when I tell y'all, I looked up and saw, oh, none of this work is done. So we're good. We're good. I can say I got that one done today. That one's done. That one's done. This one and this one. This one. And then for Rona, all we have left for you is to do this drip, which is going to be fun because, kids are all about the drip now. Shoot, the adults are too. And then Ken, this one, like I said, that one's going to be a fun one. Okay, so I think we got halfway through tonight. So we'll see if I can chime in tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it'll be Tuesday. And we'll do it again. If I don't do it live, then I'll record it. But I kind of like doing it live with y'all. I like having your feedback. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Rona. Yep, Nate saying that your computer also needs an open GI. What is that? Graphics interface? I don't know what a GI is, but I just assume that's what it is. Yeah, I have, and I got this a little while ago. It is an Acer Nitro 5 gaming laptop. And what failed for me on this one is it has I wonder, is this the one or is it my other computer? It has a solid state drive and it also has a internal hard drive that's separate from the solid state drive. Well, the other hard drive is not recognized anymore. I don't know, if it's a ribbon that disconnected or what. Never tried to test it. I just use the external hard drive now. So yeah, we all have these issues with these computers. These technologies just take over our lives. Alrighty, my loves, well, it's 12:02 and we're now into a new day. So let's get some rest and let's tackle this stuff tomorrow. Again, I thank you. I appreciate every bit of attention that you give down to the last 10 people here right now. So I will check in with you all either, well, definitely I'll check in with the Innate Creatives group tomorrow because I need to make sure everybody got their templates from homework. And then there's a credit or yeah, there's going to be a credit. And I have to do it as a credit because if I give it as a coupon code for the people who did the new homework, um, then anybody can use the coupon code. So I want to make sure that the people that did the homework are exactly getting their credit. So y'all are going to have some opportunities to really like stack up points. And yeah, next thing you know, y'all will be couponing on me, which I don't mind because I appreciate the attention. And you all are helping to sharpen me as well. All right, loves, good night, and I'll talk to you soon.